Yeah, welcome to another episode of Dark Skies Podcast, coming to you live from Los Angeles, California, from the Bay to LA. And we're going deep into the night. Tonight we're talking about giants. And is it really true? Is it possible? Did giants really walk the earth? You know, we're going to look at some old stories, some old discoveries, and, you know, we're going to dig deep. So make yourself comfortable, light them if you got them. We found Dark Skies Podcast, live from Los Angeles, California. Oh yeah, what a day, y'all. It's been crazy. We've been super busy. I mean, the whole team been working late, trying to get this show, you know, ready to drop. And now it's finally here. Tonight we get to talk about giants. Wow. So, I just want to say hello. How y'all doing tonight? Thanks for joining us. You are listening to Dark Skies Podcast. We got the whole crew here. This feels good. Oh man, you got your boy full effect, right? I mean, it's crazy. Exactly what I've been trying to say. It's crazy. That's what I've been trying to say for a long time. Now, me and my team have been working. We're going late into the night tonight. We're talking about giants. And this is a crazy subject. I mean, I don't know if, you know, you are up on the subject, but man, it seems to be a whole lot of evidence on Earth, you know, pointing towards us having an even stranger past than you can ever imagine. So we're finna look at our past, and we're finna look at some stories that, you know, is giving evidence towards, you know, the possibility that maybe giants walked the earth in our past. Wow. So let's get the introductions out the way. I mean, we got a full show. I'm fired up. I'm your host, LC Grays. We got Mikey Nikes in the building. We got Jim helping out with the sound levels. We got the ladies here. How you doing, Jennifer? How you doing, Becky? And like I said, we're going deep into the night. We're talking about this crazy subject. Did giants actually walk the earth? Do giants exist? Did they exist in the past? And I'm not talking about the New York Giants, you know, of football. I'm not talking about the San Francisco Giants of baseball. No, I'm talking about the actual giants that possibly walked the earth. Now, I spent a lot of time researching the subject. I spent a lot of time talking to Mikey. I've been looking at pictures. I've been researching old discoveries that, you know, were said to be found, you know, in different parts of the world. Now, what we're trying to do is we're trying to bring more attention to this subject because we believe that there's a lot of evidence, pointing towards the actual existence of giants. Now, I say it like that because it's kind of fascinating, when you think about it. I mean, you remember, reading the Bible, and I don't know if how many of you have, but I remember reading the Bible as a kid, and I remember a story sticking out of my mind about, David and Goliath. Now, I don't know how many of y'all are up on that story, but, the Bible basically had a story about, David and Goliath. Now, in the story, Goliath was a giant. He was a big man. He walked the earth and, nobody pretty much got in his way, But, it came time where, somebody had to stand up to Goliath. And, David, armed with nothing but a little slingshot and a rock. Now, the story's been changed over many years and told over and over again, embellished. But, I just remember the story as a kid that, little David, took the rock and he placed it in his little slingshot. And, he stood toe to toe, staring down a giant, one of the biggest men, you could possibly see. And when I say giant, I'm not talking about, Shaq big. Goliath was said to be much bigger than Shaq. And, I imagine Goliath probably looked down on David and probably didn't really see a threat. Well, the story says, David, in the face of, I guess, obvious defeat, at the feet of a giant, no pun intended, but you can get squashed, crushed, demolished. But no, the story says, David took that rock and he put it in his slingshot and he fired it away, striking the giant and killing him dead. Now, every time I think about the story, it's just amazing, especially, over the years. Like I said, the embellishment of the story. It shows David, decapitating the giant, as the slingshot turns into a sword. and David grabs a sword, or what, we don't even know where the sword comes from, but over the years, he manages to get a sword and decapitates the giant and holds the giant head up. And, you'll see statues and, paintings and, renditions of David holding up the head of the giant, because he slayed the giant. And it's crazy because, I just remember that story and I could never get past, the idea that, Goliath was the giant. Everybody else was like, oh, the story is so awesome because, David, went against all odds and, with very little bit, at his disposal. And he still, stood up to the giant and won, with the shot heard around the world as the giant fell. But, I could never get past the part that, Goliath was the giant. And I was like, wow, not only that there were giants, but, we had to fight them. Had to stand up to them. So it's like, real weird, just thinking about the story and thinking about, what it meant, Because, I read the Bible and, there were other giant sightings, like in the days of Noah and the floods and the Nephilim and the fallen angels. And, should I go on? I mean, because it's weird when you start to think about, some of the oldest writings, in human history are writings about, giants and them living amongst us are, living here on earth. And, of course, it's weird because, there's no giants walking around now. Other than the NBA players, don't just mean like actual giants. And it's weird because, there's stories and it seems to be a history of giants here on earth. And I know what you're thinking, LC, what do you mean? I mean, with what evidence? Now, we have a series that we're going to be working here. This is, just the beginning. We're just introducing you to this subject. We want you to understand that we believe, that there were giants here on this planet. I mean, I'm showing you, that we have, a history of this. It's in our world, right? Our world's history. The history of giants. People often ask me, like, why do I spend so much time on these crazy subjects? And I tell you that, if I don't, who will? Now, I'm going to take a second. I'm going to talk to you about, a cemetery of giants that was reported, in Central Africa. Now, this is like 4 years ago, so this story is old, but it's fascinating. Now, the story reads that archaeologists in Central Africa found the remains of giants, the burial remains, in the jungle near the city of, let me see if I can say this right, Kigali in Rwanda. But anyway, the bodies were probably buried about 500 years ago, and the heads of the research group says that he believes that the bodies were not even human, that he believed that they were possibly aliens or some type of alien origin. Now, 40, communal graves, approximately about 200 bodies, was found, buried in these graves, all perfectly preserved. Now, the creatures were tall, they report them as creatures because they're like, these can't be men. Approximately 7 feet tall. But, that's NBA height, right? But it says their heads were disproportionately large. And they had no mouths, nose, or eyes. Now, if that's not strange enough, archaeologists believe that the creatures were members of an alien land and possibly destroyed by some type of terrestrial virus, which they had no immunity to, considering they're from out of town. However, no traces of the landing of the spacecraft or fragments or any type of crash debris was recovered, near the burial site. So we can only, leave that up to speculation, right? But then you can leave it up, alien bodies, right? To speculation. Who knows? I mean, this is really crazy. But I'm still trying to, make sense of it, right? But the story continues. It says, this is not the first such finding. In the summer of 1937, a group of Chinese scientists, led by Professor Chi, and, well, I'm probably going to butcher his name, but Chi Puti. But anyway, he surveyed some caves by Mount Bayan Ka Uli. God, I don't speak Chinese, I don't speak Chinese. But anyway, inside the inside the caves were found skeletons that was excessively large, for the area, right? They said they had very, very large heads and puny little bodies. And nearby there was 176 stone plates. And in the center of each plate, there was a hole from which a spiral groove, spread it out to the perimeter and with some characters on it. Now, in addition to the cave walls, was covered with pictures of the rising sun, pictures of the moon, pictures of stars, with many painted dots or small items slowly approaching the mountains and the earth's surface. Experts were deciphering the ancient writings of the characters, and they were puzzled, So I guess they couldn't really figure out, what it meant. But over time, disclosure of the secrets spirals from the caves left, for 2 decades. Finally, professors of Beijing University, Zoom Umnai. I'm going to need some help with these names. Has deciphered several inscriptions, and the groove of the letters narrated approximately 12,000 years ago. Some flying objects crashed in those mountains. Chinese archaeologists found, a mention of the people who lived in the mountainous caves. A corpse of another alien was found by Turkish cavers. A mummy of the Ice Age was resting in a sarcophagus made of crystalline material. Now, the height of this humanoid male creature did not exceed 20 centimeters or 1 meter. So, let's see, his skin was light green and he has large transparent wings on his side. Now, is this real? I'm just reading, from the story, but it's just amazing. I mean, according to researchers, in spite of unusual appearance of the creature, it looked more like a person rather than an animal. His nose, his lips, hands, feet, his fingernails, toenails were similar to a human. Only his eyes was different. His eyes were said to be 3 times bigger than a human. Colorless, like a reptile's eyes. Now, that's crazy, man. Not that, long ago, one of the ancient Egyptian tombs of a mummy of a man 2.5 meters tall was also found. It had no nose or ears, and its mouth was very wide and had no tongue. Now, according to archaeologists, the age of the mummy was approximately about 4,000 years. It was buried as an Egyptian nobleman, carefully mummified, and surrounded by servants' food and art objects designed for the afterlife. So, however, as it was discovered, not all objects around the finding belong to the Egyptian or even the Earth's culture. For example, among the findings was a round polished metal disc covered with strange characters and costume made of metal with the remnants of something resembling plastic shoes. Now, many stone tablets filled with the images of stars, planets, and strange machines. The shrine was strange mummy the strange mummy was found to also look unusual. The burial was made of material unknown to antiquity. The stone was literally carved from the rock, so the walls were smooth, like polished marble. It looked as if it was cut by laser. Well, incidentally, the stone surface was fused and the tomb was decorated with a substance resembling lead. However, the alien theory is not the only one. According to some researchers, the giants and dwarfs could be, a part of humanity that once lived here on Earth and for some reason now is extinct. So this is stories, that just make you wonder, what exactly are we seeing? When we look at some of these images of, giant skeletons being unearthed, and then people will be like, oh, it's photoshopped, or it's not real, or, they making that up. And then, you just do your little research, you dig a little deeper, partner, no pun intended. But you start to see that, it might be something there. Some of the oldest writings on the planet, speak of giants. They're digging up old civilizations, that seem to have, some type of connection, to giants. Now, I think that, we're just at the very beginning of, discovering, or rediscovering what's been discovered in the past or what existed in the past already. Because, deep down in the dirt, beneath the surface of the earth, hides many secrets. I believe they're just waiting to be unearthed. But then at the same time, these stories, fall through the wasteland. They slip through the fingers like sand at the beach as you try to hold it. I love sharing stories like this because it just makes you think. Africa, China, Turkey. It's different places, on the planet where, there are ancient, structures. There are places that seem to exist before time, before recorded history. It seems to be, civilizations that seems to predate, what we seem to know about ourselves. And some of it, encompasses incredible feats, like some of the ancient structures that we see, around the planet. And then some of it, more darker and ominous past, like the existence of, things like dragons and dwarfs and giants. So we hope to learn more as time go by. But I tell you one thing, it just continues to get more and more interesting. Wow. I'm your host, L.C. Graves. You've been listening to Dark Skies Podcast, coming to you live from Los Angeles, California. We will continue to revisit this subject as we learn more information. Wow. Did giants really walk the planet? Were there really giants on the earth? Well, it looked like it could have been. Wow. Leave a comment in the comment box. Let me know what you think. Yeah? For now, we just have to wait and learn. All right, y'all. Talk to y'all soon. Thanks for staying up late with us. Wow. It's been a beautiful day. And I'm so excited about, learning more about this subject and bringing it back to you as soon as I can. So Godspeed to all. Good night. See you soon.